Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is the Lollipop and today I'm doing a full comparison between the 2022 Trek Dual Sport and Trek Marlin bikes. I have made this video in the past on the 2020 models, but they have been significantly updated now, so I want to make a new video on them. These two bike lineups from Trek often get confused with one another, so in this video I'll clear up all of the main differences between them so you can pick out which one is right for you and for your riding style. After that general comparison, I'll also give some comparisons between each model in the Dual Sport range and each model in the Marlin range to show you what you get when you spend some more money. And one thing to note, I will be focusing on the United States bikes, so there won't be any Dual Sport equipped or Dual Sport stagger bikes on this comparison, but these are just the same bikes with either a different frame or some extra equipment. So let's get into it by first talking about what these bikes are each designed for. The Dual Sport lineup is one of Trek's hybrid bikes, which means they have wider tires than road bikes, but narrower tires than mountain bikes, and the theory here is that they will be more comfortable than road bikes and will allow you to go on some light trails or rough roads without getting a flat because of those wider and knobbier tires, but they will also not slow you down on the road or on these lighter trails by having large mountain bike tires that are worse at gaining speed. Generally, the dual sports are intended to be a 50-50 bike, so 50% road and 50% light trail use, which makes them great everyday or commuter bikes because they can handle pretty much all common terrain. They can also be used as fitness bikes since they do have Trek's Duo Trap compatibility, which allows you to place a separate device on your bike that connects to your phone or to your computer and tracks your fitness progress. And then we have the Trek Marlins. These bikes are designed as beginner mountain bikes, though they do include some higher end models too. This means that the Marlins have wider, knobbier mountain bike tires for better traction and grip on trails, bigger suspension forks to handle those larger bumps, and wider handlebars to get better control while turning. All of these features make the Marlins much better for mountain biking, but that also makes them slower on the road. Therefore, as a whole, I would consider the Marlins to be more of a 65% trail bike and a 35% road bike. Now, that being said, I have seen a lot of people use the Marlins for commuting and daily riding use, since they will protect against potholes and rough roads very well with those bigger tires. Additionally, you can actually put the same tires that come with the dual sports on the Marlins, and I've actually done this before to convert a Marlin 6 into a lighter bike that is better suited for everyday use. Now, doing this definitely makes the Marlin closer to a dual sport, but it will still be heavier and slightly slower due to the heavier suspension and handlebar and heavier frame. I did want to mention this possibility though, since you can put a smaller tire on a Marlin, but you cannot put a larger tire on a dual sport without removing the fenders, and that may help some people decide between these two bikes if you want one bike to do it all. I'll also say here that I have been able to easily fit a 2.3 or 2.35 inch wide tire on the Marlin, so it can go even wider. But that's the general overview of each of these bike lineups. But before I dive into the specific models in each range, I'll just go over the main points again using this table. So the dual sports have thinner tires, narrower handlebars, smaller suspension forks, and an Alpha Gold aluminum frame which is lighter and stronger. They are best suited for 50-50 road and trail use, but are good for fitness use as well. The Marlins are basically the opposite, but are suited for 65% trail and 35% road use. Now, these percentages do vary a little bit depending on the specific bike we're looking at, so I'll adjust these while I'm talking about the bikes. So for my first comparison, I'm going to choose the 2022 Dual Sport 1 and the 2022 Marlin 5. So I'll throw up a table of all of the main specs here, but basically both of these bikes definitely lean more towards the commuter or light trail category because they have a lot of speeds in their drivetrains and they have lower quality components since they are less expensive bikes. So neither will be too good for actual trail riding, but both of them can make some great beginner bikes to learn basic skills on. The Dual Sport has narrower tires and a narrower handlebar, less effective mechanical disc brakes, and a similar drivetrain but with some lower level components. Therefore, my percentages for each are similar, with the Dual Sport 1 being 55% road and 45% trail, and the Marlin 5 being 45% road and 55% trail. And you can also see the weight differences here to prove that the Dual Sports are always a bit lighter. Next, we have the Dual Sport 2 and the Marlin 6. Now in this case, the Dual Sport 2 does not change much from the Dual Sport 1 since it has a 2x9 drivetrain now with 18 speeds, but it does have better brakes now. This drivetrain is a better quality one for sure, but it is still geared towards road and light trail riding. Besides that, this bike is basically the Dual Sport 1, but the Marlin 6 definitely changes a good amount since it upgrades to a 1x10 drivetrain, which is definitely better suited for mountain biking. 1x drivetrains essentially mean that there's only one gear in the front crankset now, and thus no front derailleur. This makes you lose a lot of speeds that would be beneficial for road use, but for mountain biking, you don't need that many speeds, and a great benefit is that you reduce weight and lose the front derailleur, which is just another part that can malfunction while mountain biking. Thus, in this case, the Dual Sport 2 is still 55% road and 45% trail, while the Marlin 6 is now 35% road and 65% trail. And finally, we have the Dual Sport 3 versus the Marlin 7. In this case, the Dual Sport has been heavily upgraded to a 1x10 drivetrain, which is actually almost the same drivetrain that is on the Marlin 7. The only difference is that front crankset, making the gear ratios better suited for everyday use on the Dual Sport, and better suited for trail use on the Marlin. The Marlin gets an upgraded suspension fork that is much better for trail riding, and both bikes get some upgraded brakes. Therefore, the overall percentages in this case would be 40% road and 60% trail for the Dual Sport 3, and 30% road and 70% trail for the Marlin 7. Now, for 2022, the Dual Sport 3 is the highest end model in the Dual Sport range, but the Marlins actually have a higher end Marlin 8 as well. This Marlin is definitely more mountain biking suited with a full-on 1x12 drivetrain from SRAM, so the Marlin 8 is going to be more of a 25% road and 75% trail bike. We do also have a lower end Marlin 4 in the range, but this one is definitely more for commuting and rough road riding over mountain biking, though once again it'll do fine as a beginner mountain bike if that's your budget. To sum it all up again, look at the Dual Sport line if you want a good commuter, fitness, or light trail bike that is more durable and comfortable than a road bike. And look at the Marlin series if you want a beginner mountain bike to take on trails, or a pretty rugged commuter bike that you'd have to worry less about. And that is all for this video. I hope all of you enjoyed, and I hope that helped you out in understanding which bike does what. And if it did help, please consider liking the video and subscribing so I know it helped, and leave a comment if you have any suggestions or anything to add. But thank you so much for watching, and keep biking.